The immediate reaction to her resignation is that it is overdue. She should have done this at least a week ago. I'm happy to see that. I'm happy to see that she has heeded the call of both Republicans and Democrats.
Well, in today's Spotlight, that, of course, was House Speaker Mike Johnson reacting to a big shakeup in the Secret Service, with Director Kimberly Cheatle resigning just one day after she testified before the House Oversight Committee. Cheatle faced blistering criticism and mounting calls from lawmakers on both sides of the aisle to step down in the wake of that assassination attempt on former President Trump at a campaign rally earlier this month. Cheatle taking accountability during her testimony, saying that the attempted assassination marked the most significant operational failure of the Secret Service in decades. Acting director of the agency now, Ron Rowe, just a short time ago, issuing a message to his workforce, pledging to restore the faith and the confidence in the American people. I want to bring back my panel here, Mike, Heidi, John, and Jay. So, look, Jay, in the last weeks here, there was an interview with ABC's Pierre Thomas, and Cheatle said in that interview that the Secret Service would be transparent, right, both internally and externally, specifically when testifying in front of Congress. And then that didn't really happen, and it seems like there's a bipartisan agreement here that she did not meet the mark. So overall, what has the reaction been like from lawmakers since her resignation?
I mean, firstly, just during that hearing, I had members of Congress, some of John's old colleagues actually, text me and say that they were dismayed by what she was not saying in that hearing, that she was more candid with Pierre in the interview, some people told me, and some people said it in that hearing, than she was in that hearing. She often said, look, it's too soon since the incident, we were 9 days out at that point, there's an investigation ongoing. That's the way she answered a lot of questions. And so it became clear after that performance that her job was just really unsustainable. Speaker Mike Johnson, even before that performance in that hearing, told me he met with her prior to that testimony and looked her in the eye and said to her that she needed to, quote, take responsibility and needed to resign. So the reaction here on the Hill is there are a lot of members of Congress, Republican and Democrat, who are happy that she did.
And it is that interesting bipartisan nature here that we're seeing for the first time in a really long time. Heidi, what's your takeaway from that?
Well, you don't have to be a genius or an expert in law enforcement to know that things went terribly wrong and she has not handled it well. But I agree, it's a rare moment. I agree with Mike Johnson. She should have resigned even before the testimony.
Right, I have not gone so far. I mean, can anyone else hear Jay O'Brien laughing over there? We can hear you, Jay. We got you loud and clear. But it's interesting to hear Heidi agree with Speaker Johnson. And John, look, what kind of vulnerabilities right now, though, are facing the Secret Service in the midst of this very active and evolving, dangerous election season?
Yeah, well, it's all well and good that they replaced the director. She was clearly in over her head, it seemed like. But, you know, we are in the most consequential time for the Secret Service once every 4 years, and that is campaign season, presidential campaign season. The vulnerabilities are most high. The agents are most overworked during this period of time. They're heroes. They're out doing the best they can. They made mistakes in this one, and they're paying a heavy price for it. But let's not forget, we got a campaign to protect of three candidates, and they got a lot of work to do. So we can't let this be a distraction. They've got to understand and stay mission focused.
Right after a long time asking, RFK Jr. wanted Secret Service protection. He wasn't getting it, and after that, he now has it for the first time. But Mike, look, this is something that bothered me from the beginning of this, is we started to see all this finger pointing between the Secret Service and the local authorities there in Pennsylvania. I mean, what does that say about the leadership in that moment? This is a joint command, but Secret Service is in charge. The buck stops there.
It does. This is just a great example and a case study for a failure of leadership and also, too, in crisis management. We are in a day and age, Kana, now where the American public wants accountability immediately. Before, you had more time to say, pinning an investigation. But at the speed that news operates now, leadership, no matter what sector of industry or business that you're in, you need to come out, take responsibility, and communicate almost hourly, twice a day, daily press conference and briefings about the status of your investigation, what you're looking into, while accepting blame and responsibility. Because for me, Kana, my fear is by it being on her, she resigning, did we even get to the root cause of which departments were responsible and who was in charge of the local police department and where did they fail? And then how do we get the training so that that communication gap doesn't exist again?
Absolutely. The American people still need answers to this. And we also, of course, can't forget that there are 2 little girls in Pennsylvania now that go to bed without their dad every night. Mike, Heidi, John, and Jay, our thanks to you.